What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new early movie review, and today we'll be breaking down the new biographical drama by the name of King Richard, a film I got to check out the other day, and I'm really excited to let you all know what I thought about this movie and let you know if it's worth checking out all in this spoiler-free review. Before we break it all down, do me a favor and check me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell, that way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this spoiler-free review of King Richard, well, make sure to like and share the review. It really helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in those comments, let me know if this is a film you all were excited to check out. But more importantly, let me know once you've seen it, whether it was in theaters or on HBO Max on November 19th. What did you think about this movie? Let's talk about the direction, the performances, the story. Did you get emotional? Did you feel like it was a feel-good type of movie? Or were you the complete opposite? Were you not invested in the story? Did you find it to be boring? Were you not a fan of this film overall? Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know some of your favorite biographical dramas in the comments below. So for me personally, ladies and gentlemen, I was extremely excited for this film. A couple things going for this movie. Number one, Will Smith, hero of mine, grew up Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, been following his career since day one, and I'm just such a fan of his work. And when I saw that trailer, oh yeah, Oscar nomination coming your way, and we'll talk about maybe winning that Oscar when we get into this review. But also, me growing up, man, when I was in my heyday, middle school and high school, ESPN was 24/7 in my room. When I woke up, when I went to bed, when I was doing homework, I was always watching Sports Center, ESPN. I always wanted to know what my man Kobe was doing with the Lakers. Tiger Woods, what is he doing lately? But more importantly, Venus and Serena Williams, they were entering their prime when I was in my younger days, and just seeing them dominating the sport, but more importantly, how influential they were to the black community. It meant a lot to me growing up, seeing them just dominate the sport. Two sisters of color doing their thing. So I was really excited to learn more about their story, learn about their parents who raised them, how they were raised. So listen, I was beyond excited. Did it live up to my expectations? Let's start off with my positives. First and foremost, Reinaldo Marcus Green, a director who I'm a big fan of. 2018's Monsters of Man, a fantastic underrated film that I still believe is on Hulu. Check that movie out, but we're talking about this movie. This man did a hell of a job. I am a fan of sports dramas, biographical dramas, but sometimes it's a little bit too easy. They don't really show you the stuff when things don't go right. They show you all the positive. When it comes to the sports element, sometimes the sports feelings. I grew up, and not to brag, I grew up in sports. So I love a good sports movie. I grew up in football and basketball. Play some tennis every now and then, but not to the degree of these legends. But I love a good sports movie, but sometimes I feel like sports movies just don't hit the mark. But Reinaldo, man, he just knew how to bring the drama, how to show the real stuff. He captured the sports elements really well, and that's what, just going back to my love for sports, what made me a fan of sports is just being a part of something that can be bigger than you. Team, whether it's a team sport like basketball and football, whether it's an individual sport, which individually speaking, yes, when you're on the tennis court, it's just you. But what about the people that trained you, like Richard Williams, like the coaches we meet in this film, like her sisters and the sisters teaming up? It's a lot going on with sports, and I felt like Reinaldo did such a great job of capturing what sports can mean, but in particular when you get to the highest level, how it can affect generations. It can affect, in this case, black young girls seeing themselves on screen. I thought he did such a great job of capturing the heart, the essence, the family elements, the drama going on, growing up in Compton, what that meant for these girls and their family. I thought Reinaldo did a fantastic job of directing this film, and we're going to talk about that heart and that story in a little bit, but I want to focus on the performances. I thought everyone, literally top to bottom, that was on screen, did a fantastic job. But I do have some highlighted people, some actors I want to touch on, but I don't want to neglect some young stars that absolutely blew me away. Starting off with Demi Singleton, who plays a young version of Serena Williams. She did a fantastic job. This is my first time being exposed to this young girl, and I thought that she was great in the role, and I thought it was just so interesting the way that the film, again, as far as what we know now, Serena Williams, as the film kind of alludes to, will go down as the greatest tennis player, male, female, the greatest tennis player, even putting tennis aside, one of the greatest athletes to ever walk the earth. But she was kind of a background player in this movie. I don't want to get too much into the depths of all this stuff. Again, it's based on a true story, but I want you guys who don't know the true story to be as surprised as some people may be. But I thought that young girl did a really great job of showing a sister who was, a lot of people don't know, Venus was the sister that people were thinking was going to be the greatest athlete of all time, which in her own right, a lot of people do consider her that. But I love what Demi did in this role, and I thought she was fantastic. And just showing her and showing Serena and how she came up, and just, again, being in the shadow of Venus, I thought was a great job by that young lady. And I'm really excited to see what the career opens up the door for her in the future. Want to shine a light on her, the main sister of this movie, which is Venus Williams, played by Saniyya Sidney. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, kid performances by younger actors sometimes can be very hit or miss, especially when they have to play such an iconic character like Venus Williams. This young girl did her damn thing, man. She was able to give you so much charm, so much charisma. I don't know too much of the behind the scenes in regards to how much time and work she put in to play tennis, to at least pretend she was a tennis star. If it was real, which I think it was, she did a fantastic job of playing that off, and just you see the commitment in the role that she gave. But I thought she did such a great job. There's a scene, there's so many scenes I can go over, but there's a scene that she has with her dad, played by Will Smith, who we'll talk about here in a second, that just broke me to pieces. Knowing that she was going to be representing so many little black girls around the world, and what that meant to her at that young age of, we meet her at the age of 11, seeing her to the age of 14, 15, just seeing the progression, the arc of that character. Whew, that young girl did a fantastic job. So definitely kudos to them young actors and all the sisters that play a role in this film. Again, everyone was fantastic, but I definitely want to highlight those two young girls. Great job to you. You made your parents proud. I got to talk about some of the adults. Starting off with Aunjanue Ellis, who I have been a fan of for such a long time, and I just love seeing her on screen. And she, as the mother, as they call the Brandy in this film, Brandy Williams, wow. She is a mother that doesn't take any nonsense from anyone in regards to how people treat her daughters. She was committed to making sure that her daughters had more than her than growing up. Her relationship with Richard in this film was authentic. It wasn't, fluffy. It wasn't, they had some issues, some marital issues that the film did shine a light on, which I so much appreciated. That it wasn't just, rainbows and cupcakes and happies and wins and money coming in. There was some drama going on in their marriage. And there's a scene that they have later on in this film. Man, you talk about the woman putting her foot down and letting the husband know, listen, we're a team, but you ain't gonna silence me. She was so fantastic in this movie. I just love the presence. I love what they show with a mother, how important a mother can be in a marriage, in a family, and being, traditionally speaking, and the old ways, the man is the money. Forget all that. Brandy was someone that was there for her family from beginning to this very point in their lives. I thought Aunjanue did such a great job, and her as the mom was just the true representation of what a mother, how important they can be to a foundation of a family, to her daughters. I thought I can go on and on and on about her performance, but she was great. But I want to talk about the man. And also, before we go to the man himself, Mr. Willie Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I got to talk about Jon Bernthal. I don't know how many times I got to say this. Anything involving Jon Bernthal is always elevated, in my opinion. I mean, I can go on from his time as Shane as Walking Dead, Wolf of Wall Street, Wind River, Daredevil. I mean, you name it. Whenever I see Jon Bernthal, I always get excited. And listen, this isn't a spoiler, but he doesn't die in this film because he always seems to die in movies. But neither here nor there. Jon Bernthal as the trainer in this film, he was really great. I just love seeing Jon Bernthal in anything, and I thought what he brought to the role was just so fresh, refreshing to see. He brought a little bit of levity in the role because this film does have some, some more somber, quieter, more emotional moments. But him as the coach, him stepping in, him having his back and forth with Richard, because Richard was someone that had a plan. He stuck to that plan. If you try to deviate from that, he's going to put you in check. But I thought Jon Bernthal as the coach in this film was a fantastic addition to this incredible cast. But I've been talking about this man since the beginning. I got to talk about him right now. I'm talking about Will Smith, one of my favorite actors, performers, people of all time. I never met the man, but man, that would be a life bucket list thing to check off, to meet Will Smith one day. But neither here nor there. Will Smith made a cameo in this role. And I say that because Will Smith wasn't in this movie, ladies and gentlemen. We saw Richard in this movie. We saw Richard Williams full out in this movie. I thought that Will Smith transformed into this man. He was this man from the way, the cadence of his voice, the way he carried himself. It's all about, I'm someone that appreciates silence from great actors. And what I mean by that is they don't have to have the monologues, the big speeches. Will Smith has so many of those, and they're fantastic in this movie. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's the quieter moments. It's when Richard has some issues with people in the streets of Compton, him having a moment where things could have went bad. It's the moments where he's beaten, he's getting pushback. Is your plan going to work out? Will you make these two women the greatest athletes of their time? It's so much pressure on him. There's just so much that you just see from the quieter moments. But then there are other moments when he does speak, and some of those moments, you all know if you watch the Oscars when they have the little clip when they play a big scene from the movie. There's two of them in this film. There's multiple in this film, but I'm thinking of two right now. There's a scene where a neighbor of theirs calls the cops over because they think that they're, I don't want to say child abuse, but they think that they're working the kids too hard. So they call the cops on the Williams family, and him talking about what they think is going on and what's really going on, and how he's raising these women to be doctors, lawyers, athletes, and his family has control of what's going on. I love that scene. And there's a moment in this movie where him and Venus Williams have a moment about her being an importance to all the little black girls, and him being the dad that his dad couldn't be for him. Bring some tissues when you see this movie. That's all I say. But Will Smith was just so fantastic as Richard Williams. And I'm not going to lie. I thought that the film was just going to show one element of Richard, being the good dad and pushing him to the limits and, just being all the good stuff. They showed the other side of Richard, that there was some ego in the way. There were some decisions that were maybe influenced by some other money coming in from other businesses, coming off of the success of his daughter. So I love that the film didn't shy away from that. And I know that the Williams sisters and Richard himself had some behind the scenes creative things that they probably want to have in the film. But I like that the film did not show you that he wasn't perfect. He never thought he was perfect. And I like that the film kind of showed he was a dad that was there for his daughters and did push him to the limits, but he also had his own selfish reasons to do the things that he did. And he has some other stuff that he was doing that the film brings up. So I really do applaud the performance, the narrative, the showing a family union, what a family can look like. I just really, really appreciate the performances by across the board, but those were some standout characters for me. But I definitely want to touch on some things that really stood out to me too regarding this story. We always hear about things about, these once-in-a-lifetime generational young athletes, actors, doctors, lawyers, whatever the case may be, and you hear the side of the story about, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but I think of the Jackson family, right? And Joe Jackson, how he physically pushed his kids to the edge and physically abused them, and how he thought that beating the talent out of them was the best method, but also showing you the other side, right? And showing you how important education can be to a young star, right? And how important it is to know how to count money, how important it is to know how to run your business. There's a scene in this movie, without getting too much into it, about a big amount of money coming to one of the sisters, and how maybe that money doesn't really mean much to me if I'm not proven that I'm worth the money. So fundamentally speaking, I love how this film shows you, especially being of color, being someone of these young black women being taken advantage of by the media, by coaches, by even their parents at time. But it's education. It's knowing what to do when you have those numbers in your face, and not just signing the first contract that comes to mind and making the right decisions that's going to pay off a little bit later. So I love that narrative of, fundamentally speaking, it's so important how education is critical to a young child's life to make those type of decisions. I love that aspect. I love the family element. I love what a wife can bring to the table, what a husband can bring to the table when they're on the same page, when they're not on the same page, and how that can affect the family. I love the idea of showing how family can be important to an individual, and having someone to back your side, surrounding yourself around like-minded people is important. I mean, I can go on and on and on about just the messages that this film has to offer, but also I want to shine a light on the heart. This film has to be, for me personally, and I'm not a big sobby guy, but I love when a film can touch me emotionally speaking. This film, there were so many moments where I just kind of look back at my childhood, look back at people I knew growing up and how things went different from them, and growing up with a single mom and not having my dad in my life, and how just how many like just moments in this film that I related to, and I'm not being a tennis phenom like the Williams sister, but just like little things in life, how you can apply to a film like this, and just looking at, putting yourself in their shoes. And there was just so many moments, how I felt while watching the movie, how I felt leaving the movie, how I'm still thinking about the movie, meant a lot to me. And I really do want to applaud the writing, the direction, the story. And again, Venus and Serena Williams, they are once of a generation type of people, type of athletes. And again, what they meant to the game of tennis, what they still mean to the game of tennis, what they meant to the black community, what they still mean to the black community, means a lot. And I'm really glad that we got a film like this to highlight that. And again, this isn't, and I can transition, as I'm praising this film so much, I can transition over to some of my criticisms. And it's really not a criticism that I have of the film, but I want to preference this for you all. This film is called King Richard. It's not called the Serena and Venus, story. I would say this is more of a 70% King Richard movie. We learn more about where he comes from, why he does the things that he does, what motivated him to be the father that he is, why he pushed his daughters to the limit to get them to become who we know them to be today. But there is 30% of the sisters, so I don't want people to go in thinking you're going to learn every single aspect of this, of those sisters. You get a good amount of them at their young age, but this isn't their story per se, right? So I do want to preface that for you all. And again, it's not really a criticism. I do wish that there were moments that we don't see as much pushback from them as young girls. Like, I would imagine it was probably pretty hard to be always practicing in tennis. And again, the film does show that that wasn't always the main priority. It was education and family first and being a kid. But I do wish there was a little bit more pushback towards the young girls and their father at points of the film. And that's just a little minute, little con that I have with the film. But outside of that, and I will say this is a biographical drama, just like action movies, just like comedies, just like romance, just like superheroes, just like horrors. There are certain formulaic tropes that these biographical films kind of follow on an outline. I don't think it follows it, point by point, but there are moments where predictability, it is a true story, so they do have to stick to what really happened, but there are just tropey moments that you come to expect with these biographical dramas. But it really didn't affect my overall thoughts on this film. So wrapping all this up, before we get into my final thoughts on my score of this film, if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, King Richard is a film that touched me on an emotional level. It put a smile on my face. It made me cry. It made me happy. It made me look at my own life. It made me feel proud to be in the presence, to be at a time where I was able to see these young black women become the absolute phenoms they became to be, and what that can mean for the generations ahead meant so much to me. The direction was fantastic. The sports elements, like I mentioned, was fantastic. The heart was there. The soul was there. The emotions were there. The performances were, again, Will Smith will be nominated, and God damn it, I won't be surprised if he wins. Willie Will, I'm shouting for you, young man. You've always been a fantastic person to me, and again, let's see if we can get that Oscar. The young girls in this film did a great job. Aunjanue Ellis did a great job. My man Jon Bernthal was fantastic. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, is this film perfect? No, but it touched me on a moment that I just have to give this film what I'm feeling like right now, which is a 5 out of 5. King Richard is a must-see film. I know some people don't have the opportunity to see movies in theaters right now, but if you have the opportunity to see it on November 19th on HBO Max, this is a must-see. I think this is a film that schools should be playing to show kids how to be motivated, how to push yourself to the limits, how important it is to have foundation, to have education. This is a film I will be buying. This is a film I will be watching on a yearly basis. This is a type of film that I love, that made me so happy that I saw it. So that's my thoughts on King Richard. A 5 out of 5. It's probably going to end up in my top 3 films this year. But hey, that's just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. Are you excited for this film? Once you've seen it, let's talk about the performance. Let's talk about the story. Let's talk about everything this film had to offer. And hey, I gave it a 5 out of 5. You might hate the film. And if you did, let's talk about it in the comments. What was it that didn't work for you all? I'm here to talk to you all, so let's talk about it in the comment section. Listen, if you stuck around to this point in this video, I appreciate every single one of you all. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, comment, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course, subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell. That way you don't miss any of my other future reviews. Hope you all are staying safe. Hope you enjoyed this review. As you can see on the screen now, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you on the next one.